This is the Report Desk Africa, and we are now going to be talking about a story that has generated a lot of conversation and questions, a plot twist, if I may say. The story of Mmesoma, the young girl who allegedly falsified her JAMB result. Now, for those who are not familiar with what JAMB is basically Joint Admission Matriculation Board. It's an exam written in Nigeria and probably some other African countries. Now, she was said to have allegedly falsified her result to make her the highest scoring candidate. And that story is still driving conversations both on and offline. Now, while investigations are still ongoing, a new app, which apparently can be used to generate fake results, has been demonstrated on social media, making this story even more interesting. Now, News Central's correspondent, who is my co-host for tonight, Akede, provides more insight into the story. We'll take a look at it and we'll talk about it on the back end.
Her story has been trending for the past 3 days. Mmesoma, the student who was accused of publicizing a fake JAMB result which portrays her as the highest scoring candidate, refused to get off all news tables.
I went to JAMB portal to print these results, and this is what they gave me.
While her touching story earned her sympathizers, there are those who believe there is more to this than meets the eye. In a new turn of events, another video surfaced on TikTok where a lady speaks of an app that can be used to generate fake JAMB results.
Your scores in English, I put 100. I want to give myself English 100. Your scores in physics. Okay, all the other scores, let me just give myself 100. So that will be fast. It's all the subjects these are all the subjects you took. Now, which let me put 2023. And then evaluate review. Guys, this is me. This is my JAMB results.
After checking through app stores, JAMB Fun, which seems to be the name of this mysterious app, couldn't be found. But if truly an app of this nature does exist, then Mmesoma certainly may have more questions to answer. While speaking earlier on News Central's news bulletin, spokesperson for JAMB, Fabian Benjamin, explained that the slip generated by Mmesoma was different from what other candidates have, suggesting it was forged by her.
Looking at our system, you will notice that this same candidate paid 1,500 naira and printed her original result, which comes with a picture. On the 25th of June, he also printed the original result that comes with a picture and the score of 249. But you can see in all transactions that she's having with the public, she did not display that result at any time.
Mmesoma now seems to be soft pedaling on her initial stand. In a news interview on another news station, she said, "After all said and done, I now saw that I had 249. I sent them a text message there, the JAMB support system, to know what really happened. If they go to their system, they will see it there." The registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishak Oloyede, spoke on investigation and said, "The truth is that JAMB has concluded its investigation on Mmesoma's score falsification matter. She was not the only one caught, just that others have chosen not to go out. Presently, there is an industry faking result, and unfortunately, they cannot penetrate the JAMB system. The reason is that the system is foolproof, and we will prove it at any time." Mmesoma has since been suspended from writing the JAMB exams for the next 3 years. But whichever way this ends, both JAMB as an exam body and future candidates who intend to write this examination definitely have lessons to learn. Akede, reporting for News Central.
I mean, that's
quite an interesting
interesting
story. Extremely interesting.
So, I mean, you did the report. What do you think of this story?
Look, there's a whole lot more to this story than meets the eye. That's the first thing I'd like to say. Now, initially, of course, like I said in the report, Mmesoma was gathering a lot of sympathizers, online and offline. I heard all sorts, and I'll be honest with you, even I was touched at some point, feeling, because the truth is there is so much distrust in the government and government systems and government agencies that if there is a standoff between somebody or some people and anything that has government on it, your first inclination is to move towards the people.
Even the distrust, right? But those who have written JAMB can't testify that it's not always, So
anyway, we're not going to discuss this alone. We have Dapo Adegboye, who's our colleague at News Central here, joining us. Dapo, are you with us now?
Yes, I'm very much.
All
with
right.
you.
Now, my
Thank you
question
so
for the
much,
both
Ben.
of you,
Thank
Dapo and
Blessings.
Blessings, and of course, it's just going to be three of us discussing this, and everybody else watching from wherever you're watching. If you've done JAMB before, let me ask, ladies first. Blessings, the JAMB score that took you into university. I'm shaking this table. What did you score?
Ben, don't go there.
No, I won't tell you what I scored, but I know that it was my score.
It was your score.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
because
so-
it wasn't lower than I deserved, so it was my
Dapo,
score.
you are saying don't go there because you don't want me to come to you next, but that's fine.
I think in my own case, right?
Yes.
I've said it before on national TV. I wasn't so much of the straight A student, you know, at my, well, I call it a junior WAEC level, WAEC level. So I think I can't remember the score exactly, but it was I think on average. So
You know what happens is when you don't do very well, you say, I can't remember exactly. But for high-flying students, you will remember
But I
all
remember
A's that you
WAEC
got.
very well, though.
But that's fine. So,
Yeah.
Dapo, just as Blessings asked you, I want to ask you, so what were your first thoughts when this story broke and then you saw it? What came to your mind first? Very quickly.
Okay. Now, for me, maybe because of my choice of profession, which is journalism, right? Over the years, I understand that you don't believe just one side of the story until, of course, you've gotten both sides and then you weigh, the facts. When I had the story, I was like, okay, yeah, but then you can also have technology glitch. But then when I had JAMB side of the story, I was privileged to actually interview the spokesperson for JAMB.
Yes, you took that interview.
Yes, and then he was able to break it down that, look, the results now, that they are presenting now for candidates actually is different from what she's actually presented or she presented. That the results now actually, apart from the QR code and some other, silent security details that they've had consistently, over the years on their result. The current result now comes with a picture of the candidate. And if we go back to what she presented, if that can come up, you would see that, well, it just had that scanning code and the QR number, but no picture. And then he also went on to also identify some other things that when they actually scanned that detail, it was someone else's result. We even scored way lower, I think 138. A particular Miriam that came out. So he was able to puncture some of the things on
sorry,
that result.
Dapo, the person's results that came out,
yes.
Was it the recent one?
No, he said, I think he said in 2012, really can't remember the exact year, but he said that it was someone's result way from the past that, came out when they actually did their due diligence. And you can actually check your results aside the printout. You can also send a text message to a particular number and then you get your exact score. So, I mean, when he broke down all of this, you would want to also say, okay, so let's try to listen to, Mmesoma's case. And Mmesoma said, well, she actually sent the detail and after all said and done, this is what she was presenting. One thing is sure, she's actually a smart chap. Even at that, some have said that, that's even a high score, 247.
Yeah.
Thereabouts, that JAMB said, this is actually your original score. But some are saying, you know what, why not dig up our script and then remark and all of that? But for me, I just feel that there are a lot of factors already laid out on ground. A former Minister of Aviation, in terms of Chika, I'm trying to remember his actual name, he was the former Minister of Aviation under the Buhari administration, actually owned the center, the CBT center, where the candidate took the exam. And he said, even on her result, that's the one she presented, the name there is different from the actual name that they officially presented to JAMB. So he also punctured, arguments and saying, look, if there was foul play, just come out to say, look, sorry, there was a bit of foul play, maybe I did it for clout or whatever, and then it would appeal to JAMB.
I would like to really come in here, Dapo.
Yes.
First of all, I would say this. It's not news, but you know that there are three sides of a story. Your story, my story, and the truth, right? Now, I'm not saying that she's telling the truth. Neither am I saying that JAMB is telling the truth. But this now goes to show that with all of this that has happened, right? So apparently now they're saying that the name on the results was not even hers. So whose name did they see when they awarded her the scholarship? Whose name did they see when they told her that she was,
Oh no, so
the highest score.
so the scholarship wasn't from JAMB. If I'm getting
Yeah,
it
no, I know,
correctly.
but I'm saying that they announced it that she was the highest scorer. I would have thought that investigations would have gone in. I mean, obviously, these are even on the surface errors that should have been noticed, right? But nothing like that was done. So at the end of the day, if you didn't do your investigations well, I mean, imagine if you had announced it and then the people who gave her the scholarships have given her, she has gone. What would you do? Call it back? You know, so I think that these are also lapses that should be checked. Whether or not she did it, I don't think that she possibly did it for clout. If she did it, it means that she did it to get whatever benefits will come with it. And then there was no proper clearance to even determine whether she deserved it. It was just announced, and then after some time, you're coming back to say that she didn't deserve it. So either ways, right, there is a fault somewhere.
I mean, it's pretty much obvious that there's actually, you know, a glitch somewhere. However, we live in the digital age where you can actually almost find out anything online these days and verify, right? When she put out that announcement on social media and people were like, oh, they were applauding her, and some even offered her scholarships, some offered her money and all of that. And JAMB came out to say, you know what, sorry, we do not know that result, right? We might know the candidate by that name that we have the result. This is the actual number the person got. You can always go there and check and foolproof, verify by yourself. I think it just spells out, will I use the word? Yes, to a very large extent, some level of transparency of, on the part of the system. Yes, we know that in previous years, there have been issues. I remember way back where people would say that, when they first introduced the CBT method, where some said that they were just 5 minutes, 10 minutes into the exam, and the whole thing crashed, and then, result discrepancies and all of that. But I think over the years, too, they have improved, on the level of that particular technology. So for me, I think JAMB, to a very large extent, has tried to sort of clear the air. But we might just want to maybe ask a few more questions from the candidate herself. Where did you print your result? Were you the one that printed it yourself? Did someone do it for you? Do you know is it, what they call that place where they print results again?
The business center or
Business
something.
center, thank you very much. Can we actually verify the authenticity of that particular business center? So there are several, hanging questions there. But I think on the part of JAMB, they've come out to really, sort of clarify themselves and said, look, you can actually go out, ask every other candidate, foolproof or fact check what she's presenting, with what other candidates have, and see if at all that format follows. So I just think that, if there is foul play, maybe, just maybe, not on the part of JAMB. Maybe.
Oh, all right. So here's my own. Now, I don't know what year you guys wrote JAMB. I wrote JAMB in the time when I didn't go to any computer-based test center, CBT, like you mentioned. I wrote JAMB when we're not doing post-JAMB exams at the universities. It was just your JAMB exam. If you pass, go to university. If you fail, wait another year, look for an alternative. And then the way we used to get our results back then was everybody goes to the JAMB office in Ikoyi. We'll be on this very long queue trying to see our names and numbers pasted on a board. Right? As a matter of fact, some people would pay. Some people would
I was going to say that instead of this.
You know what? Some people would pay others who can struggle their way to the front and check the queue. I remember my cousin and I wrote the same JAMB first time, and then he saw his result and he shouted, he told me his score. He's a medical doctor now. And I said, what did I score? He shouted my own score. I told him, keep it down. Don't shout too much. But anyway, here's the point I'm trying to make now.
Yeah.
Then it was very much manual, right? And the mistakes that were made were human errors that you could easily trace and easily see. And okay, it was printed wrongly, or it wasn't clear, or rain fell and, elements of the weather have made the page tear out or wear out from the board. But not, will I say, computerized errors like these. Right? Because now we're seeing a case where she has a different QR code, which means that somebody somewhere was able to was able to lay their hands on someone's QR code and put on an app or put somewhere where she could lay her hands on it, which is very risky. That QR code could take a person's information and put it in the hands of another person that could be used for anything. So my question now is, are we seeing a case where we are blaming technology, or do we say that the exam body and members of the public just need to be more vigilant or more careful? You know, so does JAMB need to look more into their technology base, or do we all just need to be very, very vigilant?
Well, I just think that this just puts what I call extra pressure, not pressure per se, but extra caution on JAMB to ensure that, you know, they have many, what I call it, stop gaps or firewall to ensure that their standards, you know, are upheld and are not, you know, being able to be penetrated. Just like what we've seen, they said last year there was a bit of improvement, you know, than what they had the previous year. So before it just used to be the QR code and then the scanner and all of that. But right now they said, you know what, let's take it a notch higher. Let's introduce the image of the candidate, you know, on the printout. That alone tells you, you know what, if this is how we want to do it this year, this is how we are doing it now. So candidates, so in a way you would want to say that's some sort of security measure too. Then also, just like the way you have it in Nigeria right now, if you want to verify if a business is registered, all you need to do is go to the website of the Corporate Affairs Commission and type the business number, and it will bring out the details of the business. So what am I saying with this? There's technology, I mean, that can ensure that if you want to verify if at all this candidate, you know, sat for an exam, has a particular score, there should be that window where you can go to the official website of the examiner and then put the candidate's number and then see for yourself, you know, true facts of things. I mean, we live in jet age, so I feel that what this just does for JAMB basically is put more pressure, not pressure per se, but just sort of tells them, you know what, guys, you need to raise the bar when it comes to security measures and make it more open and transparent so that virtually anybody can always go to your platform and verify.
Well, how do they say, words and marbles or what?
What? I know.
But I mean, well, I still feel like there should be more investigation because it won't be fair, right? If we just stop at this conclusion, fine, JAMB has said this, they've withdrawn this, they've done this and all that. What if at the end of the day it was just a little glitch? She wasn't at fault, JAMB wasn't at fault. I feel like more investigation should be done so at least they can clear their names if it's needed, because at this point somebody has to be right, and it is not fair. I mean, she's still a little girl, and you know, putting her out there as a fraudulent person isn't the best way to, would I say, begin her life, because
I
it's
totally
just
agree
beginning.
with you on
yeah,
that,
so
yes.
I think that more investigation should be carried out, and if she is at fault, then yes, she should face, I mean, she knows what the consequences will be. Definitely. But if she isn't, there's still a chance that she's not at fault, and it would not be fair if she goes down that path without, you know, proper clarification.
Well,
this is Nigeria. Anything can go wrong.
I agree. Well, you see, sorry to interrupt you, Dapo, but the registrar of JAMB actually did speak and said that it seems that there's an industry that is invested in falsification of results and trying to fool JAMB and all those who are involved. And like Blessings just mentioned, even if she is at fault, she clearly did not do this alone, right? So investigation should continue, and there should be, you know, they should dig into that industry and find out the people who are perpetrating this this particular crime that's affecting people. But before you go on that, because of our time, I want to ask this, right? Now, I was coming to work the other day, I think it was 2 days ago, when this story broke, or the first day, I think the second day actually, and people were talking on the radio, and somebody said he wrote JAMB some time ago, and the person who scored a certain figure, very, very high, was invited, and he could not even construct a proper, simple sentence, right, when they got to the university. And that made them begin to interview them verbally, you know, so they could talk. And this leads me to my question, which, of course, is as old as time itself. Let's look at the cutoff marks that are used by JAMB for different courses and different places. Now, can we say that they truly are a test of knowledge? In your opinion, you know, does this in any way affect the country's standard of education?
Okay, now the thing is this, I would not just stop at JAMB. I think generally when it comes to the education sector in the country, I think there needs to be a major review of the syllabus. And I'll tell you why. Times are changing, times have changed, right? So you find out that back then in school, a lot of people actually read to pass, not reading to actually gain knowledge. So you find out that people just keep reading, oh, this guy is really brilliant, but he's not intelligent, right? After the exam, he can barely even remember certain definitions. So I just think that right now, we need to sort of overhaul the syllabus such that it's a reflection of today's realities. So how can you work with a syllabus that looks at the potential of this candidate, natural potential of this candidate, and help build the person? So I remember during our time, you see people, because they just wanted to get into university, they study courses they are not interested in, right? They might eventually come out with fantastic scores or fantastic degrees, but they are unable to defend it because there is lack of interest. Many of them, not because they actually did copy or cheat to pass, but a lot of them just read to excel. They really did not read to get intelligent or get grounded, in that particular field. So for me, I just feel that a lot really needs to be done. How do you ensure that questions in JAMB just go beyond the usual maths, English, current affairs? How do you inculcate it such that at the end of the day, it digs deeper into self-discovery of this candidate? I feel that the most pivotal part of any individual is that moment when you are sort of moving from the basic education to advanced learning. Now, at advanced learning, it simply means that at that point, you have discovered yourself and you have chosen to follow a career path. I don't know if I'm making sense here. You are not just studying to pass. A lot of people studied English language, and guess what? They are in the financial sector. Some study religious studies, and you find them in banks.
Dapo, what did you study?
What I studied? Okay, I studied policy and strategic studies. First
And you are where?
Well, he's strategically.
Yeah, and then at advanced degree, diplomacy and strategic
I
studies.
get you.
So by nature, I'm strategic in my thinking, right? Thought process. But that aside, what I'm trying to say is this. I remember back then when we were writing JAMB, a lot of us wrote it just because we wanted to get into school. I remember back in school, we had people that after we left school, you know that this person back then in class wasn't intelligent, but came out and probably because business was his interest, excelled in business. So I think university education or that movement from basic education to advanced education, that thin line, that space of self-discovery, that's where the likes of JAMB, WAEC, schools come in to ensure that they position candidates along their natural interests.
Well, okay, I totally agree with you, Dapo. It's a conversation that we need to have, outside of here, or have it here again, but some other time, because it's extended. It's a conversation that's long. The education system in Nigeria, a lot of things definitely need to change. I know that vocational schools are trying to be revived once again by different governments, the federal government and different state governments. I do hope that happens, but not just vocational schools, certain special schools, so that our education system could be revived. Thank you once again, Dapo Adegboye, and of course, Blessings, who is still here. Thank you for digging into this matter. We do hope anyway that justice is served and that we see the end. And what?
They get closure.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have to get closure. We see the end of this whole saga. Thanks again, Dapo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dapo.